There's your diamond necklace.
Cool! What about sunglasses?
You look super fancy.
Thanks. What do you want to dress up as?
Ooh, I know. Want to play Country Mouse and City Mouse?
Cool! Yeah!
Here's my nice green meadow. Nothing but peace and quiet around here. I'm bored.
And here's my big, fancy city house. I need a vacation from all this excitement. I'll go visit my cousin in the country. This suitcase is perfect. I'm walking to the country. Walk, walk, walk. I'm walking to the country. Walk, walk, walk. You live far.
Cousin, is that you?
All the way from the big city.
It's so good to see you.
So, what do you do in the country?
Well, we could play in the grass.
Okay.
We could watch the stars.
Okay.
We could look for food. Sometimes I find a nut or berries.
Or we could eat what I brought.
I've never seen so much food.
This is nothing. The giants that live in my house leave stuff like this all over the place.
Whoa. So, what do you do in the city?
Well, I guess you could say we count the stars too. But in the city, there are big, shiny, flashy lights in every color of the rainbow.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's mostly going from one adventure to the other.
The city sounds amazing. I wish I could visit you.
Okay, let's go.
We're walking to the city.
Walk, walk, walk.
We're walking to the city.
Walk, walk, walk. Welcome to my mansion. Looks like the giants left quite the feast.
This is awesome.
We need a city cat.
Oh, right.
I got it. You eat.
Okay. Tasty.
Meow. Meow.
Help!
Meow.
Help!
Meow. 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 Cousin, you can come out now. It's safe.
Safe? Are you sure?
That's just the cat. He chases us and we run away. It's all part of the adventure.
That's enough adventure for me, thanks. I miss the nice, quiet country.
Oh, well, come visit anytime.
You too. And so, from then on, the Country Mouse was grateful for his peaceful life in the country.
And the City Mouse was grateful for a crazy life in the city. And they both lived happily ever after. So, what should we dress up as next?
I think I saw some pig ears back there.
Cool.
Once upon a time, a little red hen lived on a farm with a gray rat, a pink pig, and a brown horse. Every morning, the little red hen would go out into the field to peck through the dirt for her breakfast. One morning, when the little red hen was searching for food, she came across a few grains of wheat. She scampered over to the gray rat, who was sunning himself in the shade nearby. "Rat, rat," she said, "look what I found. If we plant the grains, they'll grow into wheat. And if we harvest the wheat, we can grind it into flour to bake a loaf of bread to share." "That sounds like too much work," said the rat. "Way too much work," agreed the pig, who was wallowing in the mud. "Why not just eat the grain now?" said the brown horse. "But think about how much better a loaf of bread would taste," said the red hen. "Now, who will help me plant the grains?" "Not I," said the rat. "No way," said the pig. Nope, said the horse as she was munching. Okay, said the little red hen, then I'll do it myself. So the little red hen pecked little holes in the dirt, and she planted each grain and then covered it back up. And the little red hen watched carefully over her grains, making sure that they had enough sunlight and water. Not long after, little green sprouts began to come up from the ground, and the wheat grew tall and golden. Friends, she called, look at my wheat. It's so tall and golden. Now who will help me harvest the wheat? Not I, said the rat. No way, said the pig. Nope, said the horse as she continued to munch and crunch. Okay, said the little red hen, then I'll do it myself. So the little red hen heaved and hauled and huffed and pushed the wheelbarrow up to the mill. But the work didn't stop there. The little red hen ground the wheat into flour. She threw the sack of flour over her shoulder and carried it back down to the farmhouse kitchen. She called out to her friends, "Friends, I've ground all the wheat into flour. Now, who will help me bake the flour into bread?" "Not I," said the gray rat with his eyes closed. "No way," said the pig, still lounging in the mud. "Nope," said the brown horse, who continued to search for things to munch and crunch on. "Okay," said the little red hen, "then I'll do it myself." So the little red hen mixed and measured and kneaded the dough. It wasn't long before the scent of the bread reached the field where all the animals were relaxing. Do you smell that?" said the rat. "Delicious," said the pig. "I must eat that bread," said the horse. And all the animals agreed that this was the tastiest bread that they had ever smelled. And just as the little red hen pulled the loaf of bread from the oven, she turned to see all of her friends pushing one another at the window. "Hello, friends. Would you like to help me eat my bread?" "Yes," said the gray rat. "Absolutely," said the pink pig. "I can help you eat all the bread," said the brown horse, gnashing her teeth. Said the little red hen. "But did you help me when I planted the grains? Did you help me take the wheat to the mill to grind it into flour? Why, you didn't even help me when I baked the flour into bread. Since I did all the work by myself, I'll eat the bread all by myself." So the little red hen gobbled up the entire loaf of bread. But as soon as she finished, she showed her three friends how to search the field for grains. And together the animals planted the grains with each friend helping. And from then on, all the animals shared loaves of bread that they baked together. The end. Once upon a time, there lived a king and a queen. They were wonderful rulers, fair, patient, kind, and wise. When they had a daughter, the whole kingdom rejoiced in celebration of the baby's birth. But as the princess grew into a child, it became clear that the king and queen had a problem. Their daughter would not go to sleep. Every night, when the king and queen attempted to put their daughter to bed, the princess would talk, sing, yell, and cry. She would climb out of her bed, run around her bed, or even hide under her bed. And when the princess finally fell asleep, her parents would tiptoe to their room. But as soon as they got comfortable in their own bed, they would awake to cries of, "Mama! Papa!" Returning to their daughter's room, they found the princess wide awake. No matter what they tried, no member of the royal family could get a good night's sleep. Now, as time went on, it became clear that the sleepless princess would be a big problem. You see, the king and queen were so tired that they were falling asleep in important meetings. And they no longer had the patience to help the townspeople with their problem. So, the king and queen announced that they would award a chest of gold to anyone who could help their daughter get a good night's sleep. The news spread, and people came from near and far to help the princess get to bed. There were famous storytellers who came to tell the princess epic bedtime stories. The princess listened to every word, but she never fell asleep. Next, there were talented musicians who came to sing to the princess. They sang until the strings on their instruments snapped. Lastly, experts came with gifts of blankets and curtains and clocks, even medicine. But nothing could help the princess get to bed. It was a dark and stormy night, and the king and queen were at their wits' end when they heard a knock at the castle door. There stood a poor woman from the village. Though she worked day and night, she barely had enough money to feed her 10 children. She was wet and dirty and carrying her youngest daughter, who was no older than the princess. The queen invited them in and offered them dry clothes and food. It was then that the woman explained she was there to help the princess fall asleep, as a chest of gold would feed her family for the rest of their lives. Now, the king and queen couldn't imagine that this poor woman could help their daughter get to bed, as so many people before her had failed. Yet, they led her upstairs to where they found the princess, exhausted but stubbornly bouncing on her bed. The princess climbed down from her bed and approached the young girl. Meanwhile, the woman stopped to take a look at the princess's bed, which was piled high with mattresses and blankets. With a flick of her wrist, the woman began to remove each mattress one by one, and when she got to the bottom, she stopped. The king and queen watched intently. Even the 2 girls turned to see what was happening. The woman bent down to pick up a small green ball. "A pea," she said. No wonder the poor thing couldn't sleep. The woman threw the pea in the trash. "There," she said. "She'll sleep now, mark my words." The woman ushered the princess back to her bed. The young girl smiled at the princess. "Here," she said, handing her her tattered old teddy bear. The princess took the bear and climbed into bed. It wasn't long before her eyes slipped closed and she was fast asleep. The princess slept all night that night and many nights afterwards. The king and queen were amazed, and as promised, they gifted the woman with a chest of gold. But they also awarded her with a home in the royal palace, where the 2 young girls became best friends, and everyone lived happily and well rested ever after. That is, until the 2 friends discovered slumber parties. The end.
Swim closer, children. I have a story for you.
Story time!
Tell it. I will. Okay. Once upon a time, very, very deep in the clear blue sea, there lived a little mermaid.
I know this story.
Maybe. But this story has been told by humans and merfolk for hundreds of years, and every time it's told, it's a little bit different.
Tell it, please.
Okay, so this little mermaid lived with her big sisters and her father.
King Triton, ruler of the ocean.
That's right. Her father ruled over all the creatures of the ocean, that is, except the wicked sea witch who was jealous of his power. Now, this little mermaid was a bright, thoughtful girl who was always asking questions about the world above the ocean. She carefully collected and studied all of the land objects that sank down to the ocean floor, like a ship's anchor, a fork, and especially a statue of a boy who had no fish tail, but instead 2 long legs on which to stand. At last, the Little Mermaid came of age and was allowed to rise up and explore the surface of the ocean. And there, she saw an enormous ship where a human prince was celebrating his birthday as well. As the Little Mermaid watched in wonder, a terrible storm struck, and the crashing waves knocked the prince from his ship. But the brave little mermaid battled the waves and swam with the prince to a nearby beach. Once the prince was safe on shore, the little mermaid sang him a song more beautiful than any human had ever heard before. But just as the prince was about to open his eyes, a search party of humans arrived and the little mermaid leapt back into the sea.
So the prince never got to see who saved his life.
That's right. But the prince was determined to find this brave young woman whose beautiful voice he would never forget. And the little mermaid, who had also fallen in love with the prince, was now more determined than ever to find a way to live on land.
Sea witch.
That's right. The little mermaid went to the sea witch and begged her for a way to become human. The sea witch agreed to give the little mermaid legs, but only if the little mermaid gave the witch her beautiful voice. And worse, if the prince did not return the little mermaid's love and ever married another, the little mermaid would have to return to the ocean and belong to the sea witch forever.
Why would she agree to that?
Well, the little mermaid was brave and determined, and she might not have thought through all of the bad things that could happen. Plus, she was in love.
Ew.
In any case, the little mermaid agreed to the sea witch's deal and was given legs. And finally able to leave the ocean, the little mermaid was thrilled to be able to explore the wide world above. She met the prince, who thought that there was something special about this young woman, although she could no longer speak to tell the prince that she was the one who saved his life. Still, the prince welcomed the little mermaid into his palace, where he was struck by her kindness, her sense of humor, and especially her interest in absolutely everything.
Uh-oh.
That's right. The sea witch grew worried that the prince would marry the little mermaid, so she used her wicked magic to give a visiting princess the little mermaid's voice. And upon hearing that beautiful voice, the prince thought that he had found the young woman who saved his life, and so he made plans to marry the human princess.
Couldn't she write him a note or draw a picture or something?
Well, the Little Mermaid did have one possibility. The Little Mermaid's sisters had gone to the sea witch and given her all of their beautiful hair in exchange for a dagger, which the Little Mermaid could use to stab the human princess and stop the wedding. But even though the Little Mermaid knew that she would have to return to the ocean and belong to the sea witch, the Little Mermaid would not hurt the human princess. On the day of the wedding, the sea witch came to claim the Little Mermaid. But the brave Little Mermaid used the magical dagger to stab the sea witch. And with that blow, the sea witch lost her power over the Little Mermaid and her voice returned. And the prince realized that it was the Little Mermaid who had saved him. And together, they battled the sea witch.
The sea witch was defeated.
That's right. The Little Mermaid was able to stay human, and she and the prince became wonderful rulers over their kingdom on land. But they also liked visiting her family's kingdom under the sea.
And they lived happily ever after?
Yes, they all lived happily ever after.
That story was okay. Do you know any scarier ones?
Well, once upon a time...
Mother Goose Club Playhouse!